what an example you are to your young girls and to women
Thank
all
you.
over of all
Thank
ages,
you.
whoever's listening to your story. I stand in awe of you. Truly, I do. I know how hard the system is. I've seen the stories. I've interviewed the people. I've been there myself, and it does. So 2019, you terminated your ex-husband's parental rights.
Yes.
No
Yes.
small feat in California or anywhere.
Right.
Pretty amazing journey you've been on, which gives you the strength and the courage and the wisdom to do what you're doing, which is declaring November.
Yes.
It's amazing. Family Court Awareness Month. And I'm saying it is now Family Court Awareness Month, November, for me and hopefully for everybody out there. And you're about to take a month-long journey across the country for this movement, which I think is pretty amazing. Tell us, is it the courts that are prioritizing parents' rights over the children? Why? It seems like it's that. Why is that?
There are so many. It really comes down to legislation. People need to get involved at a state level and change the laws, because so many of these laws slip through without anyone noticing. And that's the November tie-in for Family Court Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know who, not only your elected officials, your judges. We need to know who we are voting into these positions. So many laws are being slipped through without anyone even knowing. And these 50-50 parental rights laws, our judges' hands are tied. So people need to start being aware of what's happening at that level and get involved, because it really, the emotional abuse, psychological abuse. There are countries that have passed laws on coercive control, and domestic violence is so much more than physical abuse, and so but it's so hard to prove when you are being emotionally abused and you don't have a black eye. But the reality with the court system is, even if you have a black eye, it doesn't really help you protect your kids. They're going to still claim that this other human has rights to your child, and until they hurt the child. And in, at least almost 800 cases, it's too late for these kids.
What does it mean to be a protective parent? And protective parent? My kids are grown in college. I'm a very protective parent.
Right.
To the way I look at life and the way I look at my job, I'm their mother. And you mess with my kids, you mess with me. And I am a protective parent. I'm worried about them every day. When they were little, when they, now that they're out of the house, so what is a protective parent? Shouldn't everybody be a protective parent?
You would think so, but a big part of the problem, and the October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and
Yes.
it's a perfect segue into Family Court Awareness Month, because domestic violence starts in the home. And then when the abuser, it's about power and control. We know that about domestic violence. When they lose the ability to control their partner, it transfers to a new form of abuse, which I refer to as post-separation abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where these individuals who have lost control, they are now weaponizing the children to keep control over their ex. And that's where, so many, a lot of times it's moms, it tends to be the protective parents groups tend to be more moms. I always say nature intended for me to protect my young. That's how I was created. You walk into the family court system and it's like they tie your hands behind your back. And so a protective parent, they find themselves in a position of going, this person was never involved in the kids' lives. They wanted nothing to do with parenting. And now all of a sudden they want to be a parent 50% of the time. If we really look at the dynamics of domestic violence, the power, the control, it's about hurting the other person who has decided to leave the relationship. it's not about the kids. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the kids are just their weapons to continue their reign of abuse. And so, you know, a protective parent is someone who is stepping up and saying, you know, maybe my child doesn't have a black eye or a broken arm, but emotional and psychological abuse is abuse.
Absolutely. And you know, they call you alienators.
Yep.
They use that word all the time because you're alienated. And then those narcissist ways just keep coming up. And then over and over and over, what do they do? What do they do to the other person? They gaslight them. Those words
Absolutely.
are so prominent in what they do. And
Right.
all these people, these therapists and, you know, the guardians making money off of this, they don't know your children. You know, they meet them one or two times and they make an evaluation. It's just awful. And this affects the children, whether, you know, they are aware of it or they're not aware of it. There's tension.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things when I talk to parents who were the primary caregiver and their child has never been away from them, I know going back in my own custody battle, at 2 years old, my daughter being taken away from me 3 nights in a row when we had never been apart one night.
Mm.
She's 13 years old. And I will tell you, looking back, that changed her. I watched my 2-year-old, her personality, her anxiety, all of that change right before my eyes. That is early childhood trauma, being removed from your primary caregiver. And, you know, that's what's happening in our system. I've talked to moms who have, 5-month-old babies who are breastfeeding, who are forced into 2 overnight visits in a row. You know, that this is wrong. If we just take all of everything out of the equation and just boil it down to that is not what nature intended for us to have to deal with as small children, as moms, as protective parents, whatever it is. What the court system is doing is inhumane, and it's causing our children to have long-term trauma and damage.
Absolutely. What advice do you have for protective parents? And what advice do you have for people that are out there going through this, that, you know, have been dragged through the mud in the court system and the family court system and feel like because you kind of feel like there's no way out.
Right.
What advice do you have?
You know, it's until the court system changes, you have to, you know, we learn from the domestic violence world about boundaries and all of those things and, you know, maintaining, you know, no contact and all of that. And what I see is that affects custody cases. You know, it's so important to remember that the court doesn't know either of you, and they're making a determination. And what you feel is a personal protection, a boundary, actually makes you look rigid and uncompromising in court. The reality is we are guided by emotions because these are our kids. You have to be guided by strategy. You have to remember this is an ultra marathon, you know, and there's no rule book for it. And so align with, you know, support groups. One Mom's Battle, we have a huge Facebook page and community, different state chapters. Align with support and really educate yourself not only on, you know, these toxic individuals, but the realities of the family court system so that you're prepared to go in there and, you know, present yourself in a positive light.
Ultra marathon. That's the way you said it. And that's
Yes.
certainly the way it is. And One Mom's Battle, if I can help in any way in my area, I'm happy to do that. And what you said, early childhood trauma. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When you're ripping them apart from the primary caretaker, these little people that, you know, this is what they depend on, and consistency is so important, and they just rip that right out. How are your girls doing now?
They're great. You know, we've had peace. You know, we terminated parental rights last year, but they haven't had to see our abuser since 2013. So we've done a lot of healing. They have an amazing father in their lives, and they're amazing young ladies, and I am so proud of them.
Wow. What are your hopes for this cross country awareness campaign?
I want to plant seeds and let people know that this is happening in your town. This could be happening to your 6-year-old's teacher. This could be happening to your pediatrician. This is such an isolating journey for so many people to go through. And we all need to be aware of what's happening in the family court system so that as a country, we can put judges on notice that we're watching. And every time that number goes up and they fail a child, they're failing all of us. And we all need to be a part of the change.
Pretty amazing. If you just tuned in, Tina Swithin, she is the champion of children's rights, author of Divorcing a Narcissist, and founder of One Mom's Battle. She started a movement to make November Family Court Awareness Month. That's such a powerful thing. And she's beginning on her journey for a month-long cross-country movement fueled by the desire for awareness and change in the court system, so badly and desperately needed on every single level there is, because these are our children. This is our future. And these babies, at any age need to be protected until they can go on to protect themselves. And we need to stop this. So God, I commend you for and your journey. I guess when you look back, you must be thinking like, I guess this happened for a reason, because look where I am today.
Yes.
All that wisdom and courage. And I tear up just talking to you, thinking about the journey that you went on and what your girls went on. And now this huge thing that you're doing for everybody. It's just remarkable. I mean, and it's from every level. This is not just like regular people like you and I. This is, and people we know, this is happening to celebrities too.
Absolutely.
I had, and I know you know her. I had sat down for a 3-part interview with Kelly Rutherford when her battle first began, and just she was ripped. Besides being, going on in her personal life, this was ripped through the headlines, played out very publicly for her,
right.
which is even more painful.
Right.
And her story is just heartbreaking too.
Absolutely. And I consider her a dear friend. She is such a light in this world and such an amazing example of perseverance and grace. And but watching her journey and what she and her children have been through, that's one of the stories that weighs very heavily on me when I am taking a stand and being a voice. I talk to moms who are psychologists, or, it's not just, there can be a stereotype that goes along with it. And you're absolutely right. It can be a celebrity. It can be the housewife next door, or, the dad who's coaching Little League. It affects everybody. I talk to psychologists who, they have shame. How did I not see the signs? When I had children with this person, this toxic individual, no one is immune to these individuals who would do this to a child in the court system.
It's just, I don't even know how they go home with themselves at night when this happens. And, I think you're going to do a lot of good things in this journey that you're about to take. And I would welcome you back afterwards to share with us, your experience and what happened, and continue to talk to you about, One Mom's Battle and all of this. And I love something that you had on your website. And it's like, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Maya Angelou. Such powerful words. And like you said, you can't give legal advice or provide mental health advice. You can only share your personal experiences, the ultimate goal of helping other people, which is really, you're a light, because you're doing this for so many people out there. So thank you for this. Any last thoughts that you want to, and I wish you the best on this journey. I'll be rooting for you every step of the way, Tina. Really, I truly will.
Thank you. No, it means a lot to have this space today with you and with everyone else. And, just if you are in the middle of one of these high conflict child custody battles, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, I can look back to the darkest times of my battle and understand